This is the first in a series of videos that we're going to do where we explore gardens and places from around the world and see what lessons we can learn from those areas. What kind of plants do well, what is the hardscape, the design, the feel, everything about it. Things that I notice as a professional landscaper, what I like about them, and how you can apply them in your own space. So let's take a walk through the Denver Botanic Gardens while we talk a little bit about gardens in general. All right, gardens all start with the same basic idea. Someone looked at a piece of land and thought, let's make this better. Not perfect, just better. And that's what this video is about. A simple introduction to gardens and what we can learn from how people garden around the world. When most people hear the word garden, they picture plants, flowers, maybe some vegetables, of course. But gardens aren't just about plants. They're about decisions. Every garden, no matter where it is a response to three basic things: climate, culture, and the limits of the land itself. And different places answer those questions in different ways. Take this space, for example. Nothing here is accidental, even the stuff that looks natural. Someone chose what stays, what goes, what gets trimmed, and what's allowed to do its own thing. And once you start noticing that, gardens get a lot more interesting. Around the world, gardens reflect how people live. In Japanese gardens, you'll see restraint, fewer plants, more space, a lot of attention to balance and movement. In English gardens, there's often a controlled chaos. There's layers of color, plants overlapping. Everything looks like it just happened to grow that way, even though it absolutely did not. In Mediterranean gardens, water is very precious, so plants are spaced, shade matters, and materials like stone do a lot of the work. And in desert gardens, survival is the design principle. Every plant earns its place. Different climates, different priorities, same goal. Make a space that works and feels good to be in. The part a lot of beginners miss. Good gardens aren't about just copying what you saw online or on TV somewhere, or maybe you found something in a nursery you just love. Putting it all together takes understanding why something works and then adapting it to where you are and the needs that you have. Because if you just copy a style without the conditions to support it, that garden is going to struggle, and so will you. One of the biggest lessons gardens around the world teach us is working with what we've got, working within limits. Bad soil? People amend it, raise beds, or choose plants that don't mind bad soil. Maybe you get too much rain. Well, drainage becomes the design. Not enough water? Shade, spacing, and plant choice matter now more than just looks. Every great garden you've ever seen started with constraints, not total freedom. And I'll be honest, most of what I've learned about gardens came from things not working the first time. Plants do die. Layouts feel wrong. Something that looked great on paper suddenly doesn't look good in real life. That's normal. Gardening is mostly paying attention, being patient, and making adjustments. Which brings us to the most important thing gardens around the world have in common. They're never finished. They change with the seasons. They change as plants mature. They change as people use them. A garden is never a final product. It's an ongoing project. It's an ongoing conversation between people and place. So, if you're just getting into gardening or landscape design, or even just paying closer attention to outdoor spaces, start here. Look at gardens not as just styles, but as solutions. Ask why something was done. Notice what was left out. Pay attention to how the space makes you feel. Because once you understand that, every garden you walk through becomes a lesson. In the next videos, we'll look at specific garden styles from around the world and break down what actually makes them work, and how you can borrow those ideas without fighting your own climate or space. And if you've got a favorite garden style or a garden or a particular place you visited that really stuck with you, drop it in the comments. I'm always curious as to what people notice in gardens and what they love about them. All right, let's walk through the next garden.